Hey Reddit, I'm Noah, 34, and a few weeks ago, my wife hit me with the dreaded, "I think we need a break." No warning, no major fights, just a random Tuesday evening, and suddenly, she wasn't in love anymore. I was blindsided, but instead of begging, instead of panicking, I played along. Because if she wanted a break, I was going to give her one, the kind that left her with absolutely nothing. It started like this. I got home from work, same routine as always. Kicked off my shoes, tossed my keys on the counter, asked her how her day was. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling her phone, looking weird, distant, like she was about to say something she had practiced in her head 100 times. I should have known then, but I didn't, because I was stupid. She sighed. "Noah, we need to talk." I raised an eyebrow. "All right." She put her phone down, folded her hands, like she was about to deliver a speech. I think I need a break." I blinked. "A break?" She nodded. "I don't know how to explain it," she said. "I just feel like I need space. I need time to figure things out." The words punched me in the gut, but I didn't let it show. Instead, I tilted my head. "Figure things out?" I repeated. "What does that mean?" She sighed again. "I love you, but I'm not in love with you." And that's when I knew. She was already halfway out the door. I stared at her, heart pounding, mind racing, and for a second, I almost freaked out. I almost begged, almost tried to talk her out of it. But then something clicked, and instead of falling apart, I nodded. "Okay." She looked surprised, like she expected me to cry, to grovel, to fight for her. But I didn't, because in that moment, I realized something. She had already made her decision. She had already been thinking about this for weeks, maybe months. And me, I had minutes to process it. So no, I wasn't going to give her the reaction she wanted. I was going to give her something better, a game she didn't even know she was playing. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed. "So what now?" I asked. She hesitated. "I think maybe I could stay with a friend for a bit, just until I figure things out." I smiled, a slow, knowing smile. "Of course," I said. "Take all the time you need." Her eyes narrowed, like she didn't trust how calm I was, like she expected me to fight her on it. But no, because what she didn't realize, I had just decided something. This wasn't going to be a break. This was going to be a reckoning. And by the time I was done, she'd regret ever thinking she could do this to me. That night, she packed a small bag. And as she hugged me goodbye, she whispered, "This isn't forever, okay?" I smiled, nodded, played the part of the understanding husband. But the moment she walked out that door, I pulled out my laptop and started getting my ducks in a row. Because if she thought I was going to sit around and wait for her to decide whether or not I was still worth loving, she was about to learn the hard way just how wrong she was.
I watched from the window as my wife pulled out of the driveway, watched as she drove off to who knows where to figure things out. And the second her car disappeared, I turned around, walked straight to my desk, and opened my laptop. Because while she was out there enjoying her little break, I was about to make sure she had nothing to come back to. The first thing I did, checked our finances. See, my wife had always been careless with money, loved spending, hated saving. And lucky for me, most of our accounts were in my name. So I separated our finances immediately, locked down our joint savings, transferred my paycheck into a new private account. And most importantly, I canceled the credit card she loved using for her shopping sprees. Because if she wanted freedom, she could have it, but she wasn't going to have it on my dime. Next, I started digging. Because let's be real, no one just wakes up one day and decides they need a break. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment crisis. This was planned, which meant there was more to the story, and I was about to find out exactly what it was. I went through her social media first. Nothing obvious. Then her texts, still clean. But then, I remembered something that made my stomach drop. She had a work phone, a separate phone provided by her job. And while I couldn't check her messages there, I did know one thing. She never logged out of her email on our shared computer. And the second I opened it, everything made sense. There it was, a long email chain with a name I didn't recognize, a guy named Matt. And as I scrolled through, I felt my blood run cold. Because the messages, they weren't professional. They weren't work-related. They were flirty, casual, too casual. like two people who had been talking for a while. And the most recent email, it was from her, sent the night before she asked for a break. And the subject line, "Can't wait to see you this weekend." I froze, because there it was, the truth. She wasn't figuring things out. She wasn't confused. She was lining up her next option. And I was nothing more than a backup plan. I took a deep breath, closed the laptop, and for the first time that day, I smiled, because now I wasn't just playing defense. I was on the attack. First, I took screenshots, saved every single email. Then, I forwarded them to my own account, because if she wanted to play dirty, I was about to outplay her in every way possible. Next, I called a lawyer, because if she wanted out, I'd make sure she left with nothing. I explained the situation, told him about the emails, and within minutes, he laid out exactly what I needed to do. Gather more evidence, document everything, make sure she had no legal ground to take anything from me, and most importantly, let her think she's winning, because the bigger her ego got, the harder she'd fall. The next few days, I played my role perfectly. She'd text me checking in, and I'd reply with short, friendly messages. She'd call, making sure I was doing okay, and I'd act totally chill, because in her mind, I was still the pathetic husband pining for her, still waiting, still hoping she'd figure things out. And the whole time, she had no idea I was lining up my next move. Then one night she called, sounding way too cheerful, like she was testing me, like she wanted to see if I was still wrapped around her finger. And the moment she spoke, I knew exactly what she was trying to do. "Noah, I just wanted to check in," she said. I leaned back. "Oh yeah." She hesitated, then let out a soft, fake laugh. "I was just thinking, maybe I was being too dramatic. Maybe we don't need a full break. Maybe we can just take things slow instead." And there it was, the first sign she was trying to keep her safety net, because something or someone wasn't working out. So now, she was testing the waters, making sure I was still an option. And me, I played dumb. "I get that," I said casually. "Take all the time you need." She paused, like she wasn't expecting that answer. "You're not upset?" I laughed. "Why would I be? I want you to be happy." And that was when I heard it, the relief in her voice, because she thought she had me right where she wanted me. She thought she could come and go whenever she pleased. She thought I was still waiting. And the best part? She had no idea what was coming, because while she was laughing behind my back, while she was mocking me for trying too hard, I was making sure that by the time she finally realized her mistake, there'd be nothing left for her to come back to.
I sat there, listening to my wife test the waters, hearing the hesitation in her voice, the careful way she tried to keep me on the hook. And I knew, she thought she had this under control. She thought I was still the same pathetic, heartbroken husband sitting at home, waiting for her to figure things out. But what she didn't know, I had already figured everything out. And by the time she realized, it would be too damn late. I kept the act going, played it cool, kept my responses short and easygoing. And the best part? She was eating it up. She thought I was still wrapped around her finger, which meant she wasn't watching her back. Over the next couple of weeks, I let her think she had one. Whenever she called, I answered, kept the conversation light, made sure she still saw me as the safe option. Meanwhile, I was building my case, because I wasn't just going to leave. I was going to make sure she left with nothing. I hired a private investigator, because while I already had proof of her emails with Matt, I wanted more. And sure enough, within a week, I had exactly what I needed. Photos of her and Matt holding hands at a cafe, of them leaving a hotel together, of them acting like a full-blown couple while she still had me on standby. And when I got the pictures, I didn't get angry. I didn't freak out. I just smiled, because now I had undeniable proof of her infidelity. And in my state, that meant she was screwed. See, I had already spoken to my lawyer, and the laws here, they weren't kind to cheaters. If I filed for divorce with proof of her affair, she'd lose everything. The house, mine. The savings, mine. Alimony, not a damn cent. And the best part? She had no idea it was coming. A few nights later, she called again. And this time, she was testing me harder. "Hey," she said, voice sweet. I leaned back in my chair. "Hey." She hesitated. Then, she went for it. "So, I've been thinking," she said. I stayed silent, letting her dig her own grave. "I think I made a mistake." I almost laughed, but I held it in. Instead, I played along. "Oh yeah." She sighed. I miss you." Now, that almost made me lose it, because she didn't miss me. She missed the security. She missed having a backup plan, and she could feel that backup slipping away. But I wasn't about to make this easy for her. "I miss you too," I said casually. She let out a breath of relief, and I knew this was her thinking she had me right where she wanted me, thinking she could just walk back into my life whenever she felt like it. But what she didn't realize, I was already 10 steps ahead. The next morning, I did exactly what I had been planning for weeks. I filed for divorce, with every single piece of evidence attached. The emails, the text messages, the photos of her and Matt. It was all there. And when my lawyers sent her the official notice, her reaction was priceless. First, she tried to call me. I didn't answer. Then, she started texting. "Her, Noah, what is this?" "Her, are you serious?" "Her, I thought we were working things out." I stared at my phone. Then, I blocked her number, because we weren't working anything out. This wasn't a break. This was a final goodbye. And the second she realized that, she lost her mind. She showed up at my house, banging on the door, screaming, crying. But I didn't open it, didn't say a word, just let her spiral. Because now, she was trapped in the mess she made. And me, I was finally free. The next few weeks were a nightmare for her. She tried to fight the divorce, tried to argue for a settlement. But with the evidence I had, she got nothing. No house, no savings, not a single penny of alimony. And the best part? Matt, he dumped her. Because while she thought he was her next great love, he was just looking for a fun distraction. And once things got messy, he bailed. The last time I heard from her, she sent me an email, begging me to talk, telling me she had made a mistake, that she wanted to fix things. But me, I never responded, because there was nothing left to fix. She played a game, and she lost. And now, she had to live with the consequences. So, Reddit, if your partner ever asks for a break, just remember, they're not looking for space. They're looking for options. And the best thing you can do, make sure they have none.
I thought I had seen my wife at her worst. Thought I had seen her coldest, most manipulative self when she sat on that couch and told me she needed a break. I was wrong, because when she finally realized that her plan had failed, that she wasn't getting a dime, that I had been playing her the whole time, she completely lost it. After I ignored her emails, she tried a new strategy, showing up at my house. The first time, I wasn't home. She left a note on my door, a long, dramatic handwritten letter about how she had been confused, how she never meant to hurt me, how she wanted to talk. I threw it in the trash. The second time, I was home, and I let her bang on the door for 15 minutes before she finally left, because I wanted her to know she wasn't welcome here anymore. Then, she got desperate, started reaching out to my friends, and at first, some of them actually felt bad for her, because she was crying to them, telling them she made a mistake, that she was just lost for a while, that she wanted another chance. And at first, they actually thought I was being too harsh, until I sent them screenshots, the emails, the texts, the PI photos, and the second they saw those, they all dropped her, one by one, because no one wants to be friends with a cheater. Then she tried my family, told my mom that I was being cruel, told my sister that I was acting out of spite. And at first, they actually bought it, until, again, I showed them the proof. And once they saw, they had nothing to say, just awkward silence. And that's when I knew I had won. The final meltdown happened 2 weeks later. She showed up again, at night, standing in the rain, looking pathetic. And when I opened the door, she was sobbing. "Noah, please," she whispered. I stared at her, completely emotionless. She took a shaky breath. "I know I messed up. I know I was stupid, but I don't want to lose you." I raised an eyebrow. You lost me the second you thought you could keep me as a backup. She flinched. No, You thought I wouldn't find out about Matt? I cut in. She paled, opened her mouth, then closed it again, because now there was nothing left to say. She had no more excuses, no more lies, no more options, and the only thing she could do was finally face the consequences. She tried one last time. Can't we just talk? I let out a breath, and then I smiled. Sure, I said, and then I shut the door in her face. That was the last time I ever saw her. The divorce was finalized a month later. She got nothing. Not the house, not the money, not a single damn thing. And me? I moved on, moved forward, and finally, I felt free. So, if you're ever in my position, if someone ever pulls the I need a break card on you, just remember, they're not confused. They're not figuring things out. They're lining up their next option. And the best thing you can do, make sure they lose everything in the process. The divorce was final. She lost everything. No house, no money, no second chance. And me? I was finally free. But just when I thought it was over, she tried one last time to get back into my life. And this time, she was even more desperate. It started with a message from an unknown number. At first, I thought it was spam. But when I opened it, I felt my eyes roll into the back of my head. Her, Noah, please don't block me. I just need to talk. Her, I miss you. Her, can we meet? Just once? I stared at my phone. Then, I deleted the messages without responding. Because I already knew how this would go. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't regretful. She was just alone. And she hated it. A week later, I got a call from one of my friends. And the second I picked up, he was laughing. Dude, he said, still chuckling. You are not gonna believe who just tried to hit me up. I raised an eyebrow. Let me guess. My ex-wife. He snorted. Bingo. I sighed. What did she want? Oh, just the usual. Talking about how she's lonely and trying to reconnect with good people in her life. I grinned. And by good people, she means anyone still dumb enough to listen to her bullshit? He laughed. Pretty much. I shook my head. Did you respond? Hell no, he said. I just screenshotted it and blocked her. I smiled, because now she was burning every bridge she had left. And soon, she'd have no one. Then, I got a message from her best friend, which caught me off guard, because her friend had always been loyal to her, always backed her up, always defended her when she pulled her bullshit. But this time, she wasn't reaching out to defend her. She was reaching out to warn me. Her friend's text was short and direct. Her friend, hey, I know we don't talk, but I thought you should know. She's planning something. I frowned. Me planning what? Her friend. She's trying to get sympathy, telling people you were abusive, that you financially manipulated her. I stared at the screen. Then I laughed, because of course she was trying to rewrite history. She had nothing left, so now she was trying to play the victim. But the best part? No one was buying it. Her friend kept going. Her friend. Honestly, I don't even talk to her anymore. She's lost almost everyone. She tried dating, but no one takes her seriously. She burned too many bridges. I sat back, and I smiled, because now, she was finally facing the consequences of her own choices. And it was glorious. A few weeks later, I heard from her one last time. Another email. The subject? I don't know what else to do. I rolled my eyes, but curiosity got the best of me. So I opened it. And what I read made me laugh out loud. Her, Noah, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, and I get it, but I don't know what else to do. My life is falling apart. I lost my friends. I lost my apartment. I feel like I don't even know who I am anymore. Her, I miss you. I miss how safe I felt with you. I miss knowing I had someone who truly loved me. I didn't appreciate it before, but I do now. And if there's even the smallest chance you could forgive me, please, let's talk. I sat there, shaking my head. Because this was pathetic. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't regretful. She was just realizing she had no one left. And now, she was trying to crawl back. Like I was some safety net she could fall into whenever life got hard. Too damn bad. I didn't respond. Didn't acknowledge it. Didn't give her anything. I just deleted it. Blocked her email. And moved on with my life. Because at the end of the day, she got exactly what she deserved. She lied. She cheated. She tried to keep me as a backup. And now, she was completely alone. Her plan backfired. Her new life fell apart. And me, I was happier than ever. I started traveling. Took a promotion at work. Started dating again real, genuine people. And every now and then, I'd hear whispers about my ex. About how she was still struggling. About how she was still looking for someone to save her. And every time, I just smile. Because the best revenge was knowing I didn't even have to lift a finger. She ruined her own life. And I was too busy enjoying mine. So, Reddit, let this be a lesson. If your partner ever says they need a break, don't beg, don't cry, just start planning. Because they think they're playing a game. They think they're keeping you on the hook. But if you do it right, by the time they realize what they lost, you'll be too far ahead for them to ever catch up.